Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 19th day of February, 2026. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first one is our live training room, so you got to be one of our traders to get in there, or taking your 1-week free trial. If you've not taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll walk you through the simple steps to get signed up. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially start tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and run it all the way through next Friday. The weekend doesn't count against you. There's no credit card required, and you're not just getting access to the live training room. We treat you like you were already a bona fide member, a passport holder for 5 consecutive trading days without a credit card, because we want you focused on what's being taught so that at the end of your trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, stick around to the top of the hour. Michael will walk you through the simple steps. It'll take you about 3 minutes to get signed up. Your trial will officially start tomorrow morning, and we'll run it all the way through next Friday afternoon for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There are 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only got to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you got to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into the platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of your office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're just busy. Life happens. So you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. The good news, you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips, because at your leisure, you can see how we've evolved over the years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, you see our afternoon schedule. Michael will join us at the top of the hour for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll do a little live trading on the TradingView platform as time and the markets permit. For now, we'll dive into where we always start each and every day, and that's with our daily devotional. We'll be wrapping up the topic that we're on right now. Today, this will be the final day, day 7. Our scripture is Deuteronomy 31:8, and I'm sharing it from the NIV translation. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Again, that was Deuteronomy 31:8. And the topic of the devotion that we've been on now this is the 7th day. You are more than you've been told. Jesus in your story. Jesus wants to redeem your story and refresh your life. Still, for some of us, there are wounds that cut so deep. We're not sure if we can ever be healed from them. For some of us, these are painful stories that have defined us and shaped the lens through which we see ourselves, and we're not sure how to move past them. The people that said those words to you that you will never forget. The house started to no longer feel like a home. The moment you realized the people you loved and looked up to were not who you thought they were. The day you realized your life wouldn't be what you thought it would be. The people you thought would stay but didn't. The people you thought would defend you didn't. The words you longed to hear never came. Do any stories like this come to mind? How can these deepest wounds be healed? I have held on to some wounds in my life for far too long. Hurtful words from family members when I was young, lies from the people I loved the most, deep pain from moments of betrayal, and consuming feelings of failure. These wounds eventually became walls. When I set out to reconnect with myself, with God, and begin a new structure of abiding, a new trellis, a new way of living, I learned something new. I want you to have the tool that has set me free from hurts that I never thought I would be free from. In this painful memory, what details come to mind? What sounds surround you? What feelings are stirred up in you? Give yourself the space and time needed to go back to that place. Now, where is Jesus? You got to put him in this story. What does this face look like as he looks at you? What does he feel toward you at this moment? What words would he say to you? You might not have known his words before you personally knew him, before you got close to him, before you engaged with his words and with his people. But now, with your new rhythms, you know more of what Jesus has said about you. How does what you know of Jesus now change how you see Jesus then? Friend, perhaps now you can get from Jesus what no one else has ever or will ever be able to give you. Jesus does not only want to redeem you from what happened, he wants to redeem those painful moments, those painful memories, and give to you what no one else can. He wants to tell you in that classroom where people told you you're not good enough, Jesus wants to say you are loved and worthy. They have no right to name you. He wants to tell you in that bedroom where someone made you feel powerless and worthless, you are loved and valuable. They have no right to take this from you. He wants to tell you in that living room where you felt like everyone was against you and no one was fighting for you, Jesus says you are loved and worth fighting for. They have no right to define you. Jesus was there when we were hurting. And the same words he says to us today, he was saying then. You deserve to stop seeing yourself through the broken lens of other people, especially the lens of the enemy. When you see yourself through the lens of God and how he sees you, you will see yourself for who you really are and who you've always been. It turns out he's not just giving you a new name. He's telling you who you always were, who you've always been, chosen, invited, welcomed, worth fighting for, and worth dying for. The truth is this: you were loved, valued, and wanted all along. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord Jesus, that you are and always have been in my story. I've never been alone. Please redeem those stories in my past that still need healing, and help me to walk confidently in faith with you at my side into the next circumstance, whatever it is. I want to realign my life to rest in you more, know you more, and know the lens through which you see me. I commit my life to you, and I will follow you forever. It's in your name we believe and pray, and everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Thursday. Not a happy Thursday for Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you've seen this. Just popped up on my screen. Tucker Carlson has been detained in Israel and had his passport taken following an interview with Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, of course, is the ambassador to Israel. So I don't know the story behind the story. All I got on my feed was the headline. I don't know if this just happened, or you may know more about it than I do, but once the broadcast is over today, I will do some research and, of course, have more info for you tomorrow, and I'm sure you'll be taking a look at it yourself. Okay, I said I would give you the numbers from around the world, and I will. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is down 263 points. NASDAQ is down 69. S&P 500 is down 23. And the Russell 2000 down 8. No movers and no shakers, but all in the red. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $1.61, trading 66.80 last. It's a gain of almost 2.5%. Gold up $6.30, trading 5,015.40. I make that 5,016.40 last. Silver up a nickel, trading 77.70 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 323 points. Shanghai dropped 51. Hang Seng gained 138. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 59. The DAX down 234, almost 1%. The CAC down 30. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it's definitely a big red Radio Thursday here in the US of A. Let's take a look at the news, and we'll go to the charts. The FCC yesterday confirmed a probe into whether ABC's daytime talk show, The View, failed to give rival Texas Senate candidates equal airtime following an interview with Democratic candidate James Tallarico earlier this month. The news comes after CBS's The Late Show with Stephen Colbert pulled a separate interview with Tallarico from its Monday broadcast over concerns about the equal time rule. The 1934 provision requires broadcasters who give airtime to one political candidate must provide comparable time to competing candidates upon request. Talk shows have historically been treated as news programs, therefore exempt from the rule. But last month, the FCC issued guidance warning it would vet talk shows for partisan intent when granting exemptions. Since the equal airtime provision applies to broadcasts but not streaming platforms, Colbert's show released the Tallarico segment on YouTube. Tallarico's campaign yesterday reported a record $2.5 million in donations within 24 hours of his Colbert interview being pulled from broadcast TV. The FCC is about to do some things that, number one, they're going to rule on whether The View is actually a news program. We all know it's not. It's a catty show that spends all their time figuring out how many ways a human being can hate Donald Trump. What are they going to talk? Oh, I remember what when he's out of office, they'll still talk about it, because when Joe Biden was president, that's all they talked about for 4 years. While Biden was asleep on the beach, allowing our borders to be overrun and inflation to hit 40-year highs, all-time highs. What did they talk about for 4 years? How much they hate Trump. TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is a very real thing. Zuckerberg testified yesterday before a jury in a high-profile case accusing social media companies of fostering addiction. Zuckerberg told the jury that some young users lie about their age on Instagram, among other comments. The case centers on a now 20-year-old identified as KGM. Those are her initials. She says she began using social media at age 10, alleging addictive design by Meta and YouTube, including notifications and recommendation features, she says contributed to a decline in her mental health. Meta and YouTube are relying in part on Section 230, a federal law protecting platforms from liability for content posted by their users. Instagram's chief this week also sought to differentiate between social media addiction and clinical addiction. TikTok and Snap were originally part of the suit, but they have settled out of court. The outcome of this case could influence more than 1,000 similar lawsuits. Some observers have drawn comparisons between this case and lawsuits against Big Tobacco back in the 90s. And our hearts are heavy for the friends and families and the backpackers up in Lake Tahoe, which is such an incredibly pristine, beautiful area, or at least it was many years ago when I was there. In fact, I got snowed in. I had won a vacation trip as a bonus at work, and on the day my wife and I were supposed to leave, it had been snowing all night, and when we woke up, you could even see our car. We were at the Cal Neva Lodge. It's where the Rat Pack used to hang out back in the day. It literally sits on the border of California and Nevada. So that's where the mafia did their business back in the day. And this tragedy happened just, well, down the road. Authorities have retrieved the bodies of 8 backcountry skiers. This is the deadliest avalanche in California history. 6 skiers were rescued after issuing a 911 call. 1 is still missing, with rescue efforts ongoing as of this writing. The group of 15 had been staying near Frog Lake, below the 9,100-foot tall Castle Peak, one of the Sierra Nevada's most popular skiing destinations. Before the avalanche at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, local authorities had issued a warning due to strong winds and rapid snowfall. Nearly 3 feet of snow had accumulated within 2 days. It was not immediately clear whether the group, which included 4 professional guides from Blackbird Mountain Guides, had seen the warning. Search and rescue efforts were impeded by ongoing avalanche conditions. Rescuers used a snowcat to get within 2 miles of the survivors, then skied towards them to avoid triggering another avalanche. Our hearts and prayers are with the friends and family of those involved. Turning to Wall Street. U.S. stocks turned firmly into the red today as U.S.-Iran fears spurred a continued rally in oil, with Walmart earnings and Federal Reserve rate cut odds in focus. The pullback came as oil extended its biggest daily jump since October amid growing worries of a U.S. military attack on Iran. We'll look at the crude chart here in just a bit. Treasuries were set for their longest run of losses in a month amid oil-driven inflation concerns. Price pressures were already in focus as investors parsed minutes from the Fed's January policy meeting, which revealed deep divides over the future path of rates. The December PCE inflation reading tomorrow could help adjust expectations. We're just about done with earnings season. This PCE reading that comes out tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, I believe it is, this could have a huge effect on the markets. I'm not saying we put much faith in these numbers, these economic reports put out by the government, but Wall Street, the general public tend to believe what they read, see, hear. So be careful. Anyway, the report comes out 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So by the time the stock market opens at 9:30, there will already have been initial reactions in the futures market. Stocks will react, so be careful at the open in the morning. Of course, futures trade around the clock, and we specifically teach all of our students to stay away from trying to trade these economic reports. Back in the day, good news sent the market higher and bad news sent the market lower. That's just not the case anymore. There's too many mitigating factors. Best thing you can do when there's an econ report: make a sandwich, walk the dog, do something. But just keep your hand off the mouse. Let the market react. Don't trade the event. Don't trade the reaction to event. Trade the reaction to the reaction of the event. From Bloomberg, Federal Reserve officials appeared surprisingly wary of cutting interest rates when they met last month, with several even suggesting the central bank may need to raise rates if inflation remains stubbornly high. Well, we got the lowest interest rates in how many years? This is treasonous. While the minutes of the central bank's policy meeting released yesterday fell far short of suggesting most officials were contemplating the possibility of rate increases, they made clear the Fed is shifting further away from agreeing on another cut. And you know what? I would not put it past Jerome Powell to stick it to America and to Donald Trump. Really, he's sticking it to Trump, but we're in the middle. So he's got to go through us to get to him. Well, I didn't think I would ever say these words, but as he exits, he's already going to go down as the worst Fed official in history, bar none. But get ready for potential rate hikes, no matter how low inflation goes. Just look at the numbers. Just based on the numbers, take out the politics, take out the grudge match. These rates should be 2 points lower than they are right now. And that should have happened a year ago. Charting one's own path in a tech industry pioneered by her two legendary parents. This is where we find energetic FIA co-founder Phoebe Gates, 23, as she steps to the podcast mic at the Yahoo Finance's New York City headquarters. The youngest child of Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and his former wife and philanthropist Melinda Gates, Phoebe Gates is trying to shake up the shopping experience with FIA, PHIA, whose AI-powered shopping assistant scours the web for deals on fashionable apparel and accessories. It also connects to second-hand platforms to help users save money and prevent waste. We can actually make online shopping delightful in a way that's consumer first and not just, hey, why don't you open up 100 different tabs on Google Shopping that are all ad-driven for me, Gates said. Launched in April 2025, FIA is run by Gates and her friend Sophia Kiana. So far, the company's raised more than $40 million from a series of high-profile investors, including Kleiner Perkins, Kris Jenner, and Hailey Bieber. It's probably one to watch. The Gates have a record of making money. You don't have to like them to make money with them. From Bloomberg, Emmanuel Macron is preparing for one more big moment on the world stage, and it looks like he wants to mark it with a fight with Donald Trump over social media and free speech. Macron's on his way out. The French leader said today that protecting children from the harms of social media and artificial intelligence will be a priority for his country's Group of Seven presidency, in a direct challenge to the Trump administration, which is lined up with U.S. tech firms and made free speech a cornerstone of its foreign policy. There is no reason our children should be exposed online to what is legally forbidden in the real world, Macron said. The U.S. president has been attacking the European Union on multiple fronts since his return to the White House, threatening to take control of Greenland from Denmark, forcing through an unbalanced trade deal, and labeling efforts to regulate U.S. tech firms as an affront to the bloc's fundamental values. Macron is determined to tackle difficult issues with the U.S. head-on, according to a French official familiar with his thinking, and he sees the G7 as an opportunity to do it. Mark my words, you'll see him running with his tail between his legs. From Reuters, Yorkville America Equities, LLC, the investment advisor that manages 5 new Truth Social branded ETFs focused on U.S. President Donald Trump's America First thesis, said today that it plans to acquire the Point Bridge America First ETF. The proposed acquisition, which has been approved by Truth Social trustees, is the second such transaction announced by Yorkville in less than a month to scoop up a fund with an investment thesis aligned with Trump's policies. At the end of January, the firm said it reached an agreement to acquire the God Bless America ETF, another ETF that emphasizes what it describes on its website as patriotic investing. These are ones to watch, guys. They really are. Make a note of that to myself. Amidst reports, the U.S. is close to a major war with Iran. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said his job is to make sure the military is capable of backing up the president. Now, legacy media is saying that we could strike Iran as early as this weekend. Conservative news is saying maybe next week, or the White House is saying perhaps next week. We'll see. Hegseth said, "We have enormous capabilities unlike anyone else in the world. And I think the big difference between this department and others is that we unlock and unleash our warfighters to get the job done, should they have to. But our hope is that we never have to use that. The president is a negotiator looking for a deal. It would be wise for Iran to see that deal and take it." The president has made it clearly obvious he does not want to go to war. Oh, and of course, mainstream legacy media not talking much about this, but the number of Americans filing new applications for unemployment benefits fell more than expected last week, consistent with a stabilizing labor market. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits dropped 23,000 to a seasonally adjusted 206,000 for the week ended February 14th, according to the Labor Department. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast 225,000 claims for the latest week. Last week's drop marked a significant decline in claims since they jumped at the end of January. That's enough news for me. All right, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock Emini alert service. It's not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. She will update it this afternoon before the members-only workshop tonight. Well, at least typically she does. We're currently in week 393. Over the last 393 weeks, we've issued over 21,500 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure, a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, this week we had a Monday holiday, and the markets have just been a little odd, but whatever. Since the markets opened Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 26 Logic 247 alerts. When Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we were still waiting on the outcome of 4. That gave us 22 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 5% would have been stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. The purpose of the Logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you never actually trade a Logic 247, use them for the purpose intended, to learn to read the chart. If your goal is to trade for a living, that's not going to happen until you can read a chart. And there's no words on a chart. You already know that. So then how do you read it? Well, that's what you need to learn. Every Logic alert has an entry price, long or short, typically additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, 393 weeks is a long time. It's over 7 years. But quite a few years before we rolled out Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different. In fact, they're different in a lot of different ways. For the purpose of today's discussion, I'll just simply say they typically come out 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. The logic alerts come out around the clock. The CTAs are posted as a static report 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. So the Thursday session we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. The Thursday session will end today, not at 4 p.m., but at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Friday session will begin not tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. The Friday session will begin tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I strive each and every day to get the CTAs out 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. So all of our traders had these targets at 5:55 p.m. Eastern yesterday afternoon. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now, as we go through the individual charts, the individual markets, you'll see these targets drawn out. Okay, just remember, they were in the hands of our traders 5 minutes before the market actually opened. So with that, we'll go where we always go when we start with the charts, and that's the daily chart of the S&P 500 Emini futures. And here we are sitting right on top of support times 3. Red and falling has curled up under price. The black step line has curled up under price. And we're sitting right on top of the 24% fib extension. Now I know I had discussed redoing the fib extensions based on the new all-time historic high. But because the current fib extensions have played such an important role, yesterday's high, where was yesterday's high? At the 38. And where do we find support today? Where do we have support right now? At the 24. So as long as these continue to be pivotal, I'm going to leave them. I'm sure probably by next week we'll go ahead and make the change. For those who want to make the change early, you're going to connect this point to the new all-time historic high right there, and then connect it to this point right here. And that will give you a fresh set of fib extensions. So again, I want to see how this plays out over the next few days, over the weekend, and then I will change them. Okay, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts. Don't confuse the two, they're two different animals. Okay. The vertical line that you see separates today, Thursday, from yesterday, Wednesday. Back over here is Tuesday. Now, when price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. The weekly trading zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones for our members every Monday for over 16 years. When there's a Monday holiday like there was this week, they come out Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. Here you've got a zone 6854/55. I just put one of the lines on because I like to keep my charts clean. And above you've got 6888/6889. Okay. Now notice this high right here where we spiked. Look right there. Bearish cross. When the red line gets below the green line, it's called a bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance, and it was. Also, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. Stands for bull, bear, cross. When price gets above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When price gets below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. Notice that the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Now that we're below this pullback, 1, 2, 3, 4 30-minute candles, the pullback held 5, 6, because every one of those candles is touching the green line. Okay, now, this candle is not, and we're heading back down to the short target again. Here's where we opened last night. We made a run at the long target, which was based off this area right here where blue turned to red yesterday. 69.14. We only got up to 12.5, but more than enough to get your goal for the day on the way up. When price is above the BBC, we're only looking for long trades. Below the BBC, only looking for short trades. Price is dropping through the short target right now, and there's a zone sitting there. Now that zone caught it yesterday. No guarantee it's going to catch it today, but we expect it to hold until proven otherwise. That zone is 68.54/55. We're currently trading 68.57, 68.58. Coming down through the short target. Now the short target is based off this low from yesterday. Hit it once, support, sends us to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support. Now this spike right here is this bullish cross right here. That's when the blue line gets above the green line and leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support, and it was. Okay, so we've now taken out that low, and the low of this current candle is 68.56. So we've come within 1 point of the zone so far. On the Dow, here's where we opened last night. Roll sideways, drop to the zone. Now, these are the zones that were published Tuesday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Normally it's Monday, as I said. Support sends the market looking for resistance. The fact that price could not make it all the way back to the BBC, what it found was resistance right at this area right here. You see that little crevice there? That's the high of that candle. Sent us back to the zone, which sent us back to the BBC, back to the zone, back to the BBC, and now we're trading below the short target. Now as we look left from here, we're sitting right above potential support here. More importantly, here, and then at the zone, 49.220/25. The Russell. Here's where we opened last night. Below the BBC, resistance, 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 and then we dropped and hit the short target and the zone. The zone bounced us up to the BBC, resistance, which sent us looking for support, the zone, and then here's the 9:30 opening candle on Wall Street. Red all the way down here. Green all the way up here. Closed here. These are not normal market conditions. But I'll tell you this, that is extremely bearish. Those, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 30-minute candle wicks sticking up like that. Crown of Thorns, I gave it a name the other day. Lower prices on the way. Once we drop below this zone, if that's how it plays out, and it looks as though it may, although the zone did hold the market here, here, so far. We did have that spike, that very volatile first 30 minutes of the Wall Street Open. But then the next support would be this low. Okay? And if you scroll left, you'll see where the other support is. It's called learning how to read the chart. I think I mentioned you need to do that. Here's where we opened last night, right at the weekly trading zone. We attempted to go higher. We could not make it to the long target. That in and of itself is bearish. And this area right here, okay, that's where the long target was based on. The fact that we could not get there, although we tried, that's bearish. That's an indication to look for lower prices. So down we came, got a leg, a retracement. We almost hit the short target there, and we're just about to hit it again. Crude, that's the next one. Crude is above the highest weekly trading zone. I already gave you the news, the fundamental reasons. We're technical traders, but fundamentals do happen. And so we don't base our trading on that. But what's interesting is look how price came back to touch, to the tick, the highest weekly trading zone as it's made its way higher. Now, even though we're above the highest weekly trading zone, by close of business on Friday, we expect price to be at or below the highest weekly trading zone. Is that a guarantee? No. Over the last 16 plus years, has it happened more often than not? Yeah. There have been weeks, a couple of handfuls, where price closed above the highest weekly zone or below the lowest weekly zone. But if tomorrow by 5 p.m. Eastern, if price happens to be back at 6560/65 or below, don't be surprised. Gold, here's where we open, and we dropped to the short target in the first 30 minutes. Opened at 93 and dropped to 71. It's over $2,000 per contract traded. And we bounce off that short target, which was based off this right here. Okay, just market structure. Price got above the BBC, made a beeline, got through the zone, hit the long target, consolidated, pulled back to the BBC, pull back holes more often than not. This time, it traded through right there and there. And it reversed and put in the high of the day at 50.42.80. Now it's pulling back. It's now below the BBC. And blue and climbing is rolling over. It looks like it wants to turn to red and falling. This area here is a potential area of support right there where red turned to blue. I mean, that wick is literally touching it right now. If we get through there, look for potential support here. here. And then there's the short target, 49.75. On silver, here's where we opened last night. Dropped to the zone. When price drops to the zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. We hit the long target. Got a little bit of a retracement, shallow retracement, back to the black step line. Then we pushed higher, but we didn't get to the zone overhead at 79.60. The high was 79.40. Blue and climbing, turned to red and falling. Price gets back below the BBC. Made one more attempt to run higher. And notice that this high, right here where blue turned to red, that's that high right there. Now, blue has turned to red, and we're printing a red candle below the BBC. So you got potential support here, potential support here, potential support here, here, the zone, and then the short target's way down here. And that brings us back to the daily chart of the bellwether, the S&P 500 Emini futures. We've traded below the 24% fib extension. We've made it below red and falling and the black step line. So we just dropped below support times, potential support times 3. Now this low from yesterday, that's potential support. After that, we're talking about the low of, this is Thursday, Wednesday, the low of Tuesday. And then the zero line. You see the low of Tuesday is right at the bottom of these two bodies right here. Okay. Now the wick spiked the zero line. That was back on February 6th. So the markets look pretty heavy. We do have some high impact news tomorrow that could affect the markets, will affect the markets. Expect volatility. And this whole Iran situation. Some say Trump may make his move over the weekend. And if that happens, and Sunday night could be quite explosive. So, one way or the other. All right, Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live trading room this morning, and then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. And then I'll come back and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
Okay, let me get this. Here it is, over here. Got it. All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Excuse me. Here we
Okay.
go. How's
All
that
right.
look?
Looks good.
All right.
Looks good.
Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 19th day of February 2026. Wow, 19th day of February 2026. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here, click on this purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that, and it's going to bring you to, well, it'll bring you to this registration page right here. All we ask for on this page is your name, your email, and your phone number. Make sure you give us your trading login ID down here at the bottom. Okay, do that. We'll be able to get the indicators indicating on your charts for you during the trial. That's where you want to be, taking the trial, the indicators on your charts. All right, so we had kind of a blow up today at the end of the session. We ended positive, but midway through, we were just about 3 times what we ended up at. We had a couple of big stop outs, 4 of them actually, 5 of them, now that I think about it. We had 3 on the NQ for 36 ticks, and one on the S for 10 ticks after the midpoint of the session. So that kind of makes up for the difference between the plus 700 or whatever we were at, and the 255 we ended up with. But this is how we ended for the day. All right, we ended up with plus 21 on the NQ, plus 34 on the Russell, plus 31 on the YM, and minus 14 on the ES. Puts us at 255 in the morning session. Now, the high of the day, let me go through that part of it. Hang on. Make sure I get this right. I have all these things in front of me here. The high of the day on the Russell, actually 34 was the high of the day on the Russell. The high of the day on the ES was 6. The high of the day on the YM, I think 31, I think was the high of the day on the YM. So we had to do the Russell and the YM at the high of the day. And the NQ, the high of the day on the NQ was 119. We had to do 21 on the NQ. So we had quite a few stop outs at the end of it all. Today it took 8 minutes and 8 trades to get to the goal for the day. We're up 275 with one contract at that point. So we traded another 31 times to lose, what, $20? Anyway, most days aren't like that. We had 39 trades and 8 stop outs, putting us at 79% of our trades were break even or better. So on the month tower, 14,580 over 13 business days, averaging $721 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year now, we're 37,605 over 31 days, averaging $1,213 per contract per 2-hour business day. This number actually went up today because if we were to quit trading, well, we got the goal for this, I just explained, you would have been up $275 after 8 minutes with one contract. So if you follow the 24/20 blueprint so far this year, hang on, put the question box out. There it is. If you follow the 24/20 blueprint so far this year, you would only work 2.95 hours and you'd be up $6,617, averaging $2,243 per hour. Right, per hour. Okay. Now, let's get in there and see what we did with everything. We're just about to have a trade here right now on the YM. I can find my YM DOM. We did have a trade there on the YM. We did have a trade there on the YM. The ES also has one there, and the NQ also has one there. Now, let's see. I am way late on the YM, but I'm taking it anyway. I'm going to take 5 ticks in profit on that to start with. I got 10 over there on the NQ. I'll show you that in a minute. Hopefully I got 10. I've been getting a ton of slippage, and I got to break even on the ES. So let me just write those down. But let me go see what I got on the NQ first. Hold it. I don't know if I actually got 10 because all my trades this morning on the NQ were off. I did not get 10. I got 5. And let's just put it in. Okay. So right now, what I get on the YM, I got 5 ticks on the YM. I got 5 ticks on the NQ. And the ES, I got to break even. So let's put that in. 5 there. 5 there. That makes this a 3. This is 0. We'll bring this number down. Bring this number down. It's not actually the number, it's the formula. Okay, and add the date in. And add a date over here. All right, so we're $500 at this point. Where was I? I was going through the trades that we took this morning. Okay, so we'll start out with the Russell, and on the Russell, let's hit control back. I almost just started trading right there and skipped the recap of all this stuff. Scatterbrained all morning. All right, here we are. Our first trade on the Russell was a very nice trade right there. And we picked up 2 ticks. Well, okay, it had the chance to be a very nice trade, but we only got 2 ticks on that. The next trade that we took, looks like it wasn't for a while, and we picked up 7 ticks to get us to 9. Then another while, and we did something to get us up to 19, and then we stopped out. So we had another one in there that I missed that got us up to 19. Then we stopped out, that brought us down to 4. And then we got a 20 tick trade right there, 24. And then a 10 tick trade there to 34. That's how we ended it with the Russell this morning. Okay, 34 ticks. And This is not a trade here, but we did take this one just a few minutes ago over here. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in there, there was a trade. No, we didn't take one on the Russell. I'm sorry, we didn't do the Russell. There wasn't one in there on the Russell. It was the YM. It was right in here on the YM, right there. Okay, so to the YM now. Those are the two. Control and back. The two markets that we ended at the high on are these two right here, the YM and the Russell. So in the YM, our first trade today was a stop out, or minus 15. Then our next trade after that was another stop out. And I should replace that trade, but that was another minus 15. So we're at minus 30 at that point. Then picked up a plus 20 there to get us to minus 10. Break even there. Then we went from minus 10 to plus 5, so we had a 15 there. Oh, we had a 15 somewhere. It wasn't there that we had the 15. We had a 15 somewhere in here, and then that one. That one was a really big trade. It went from 5 to 71 right there. So I am right. No. There's something messed up. We went from 5. Okay, there's something messed up. We went from 5 to 7, then 7 to 19, then 19 to 20, then 20 to 30. Okay, I didn't have 71. I was thinking, what the heck? That's way too big. That my target was way smaller than that. Went from 5 to 7, then 7 to 19, then 19 to 20, then 20 to 30, and 30 to 31. Yeah, those were the trades right there. And that's what we ended up with, was 31 ticks. It was the last couple right in here. 31 ticks on the YM. And that is how we ended the morning session with the YM. We did just have that other trade a couple of minutes ago right there for 5 ticks. That was the YM this morning. Okay. We did have a stop out in there. Now the ES. But I was getting the goal for the day this morning. It seemed like the markets were bouncing all over the place. And I was getting very small trades. And I said on the ES, actually on the ES, I remember saying it. I said, we're getting all these really small trades on the ES, and it's just going to take one stop out that's going to throw it all off. And well, that's exactly what happened. Okay, on the ES, I didn't, for the first 8 minutes, I didn't write down, I didn't mark any trades because they were happening too fast. But on the ES, we started out with a +1, then we had a +2, then we had a +1, so we got to +4. Okay, and then, yeah, okay, I guess those were the +2 and +4, and then we had a stop out. Put us at -6. What was that stop out? There it was, put us at -6. Then we had a +8, got us to 2. Then we had a break even and a +4 that got us to 6. Then we stopped out again, got us to -4, and then we stopped out again right at the end, got us to -14. So that stop out and that stop out right there, $250 a contract. Okay, total. And this is the ES right now. It had a short back here a few minutes ago. It doesn't have anything right now. It's going to go full cycle down right now. The NQ. Now the NQ, our last trades on the NQ are also stop outs. That was a stop out. That was a stop out. Those are all 36 tick stop outs right there. So that was 108 ticks on the NQ, or $540 a contract. So between that and the ES, it was $790 a contract given up in the last 45 minutes of trading this morning. So we were doing much better than we ended up doing. Let's go back to the very beginning here, though. Okay. As I said, the first 8 minutes, I didn't really mark things up that well. I had a trade right here on the NQ. That was a 45 tick trade on the NQ right there. I don't know why I put it on. We were on a different time frame. We're on a 19 range at that time. That was a 45 tick trade, and that's where we got the goal for the day. And then the next trade was a 1 tick trade, got us to 46, then went to 53, then from 53 we went to 71, 71 to 75, 75 to 78. Then, I'm sorry, 75 to 88, 88 to 97, and then we stopped out and went down to 63. Then we had kind of a weird trade right there. It drew back 4 ticks on me. It should have been a plus something, but it slipped me. It should have been a plus 10, but it slipped me to -4. Okay, and then the next trade, we went up to 75, and from 75 we went all the way up to 119, and then the wheels started falling off. At a -36, -36, -36. So we went 119 down to 83, down to something, 83 down to something 7, and then I think 83 down to 57, and then 57 down to 6, down to 21. And that was where we ended it with the NQ. Let's see. Since then, we didn't have a trade in here yet. We could have a trade if it comes down and hits the mid-band. Could have a trade here. But that was it. So it was rough trading toward the end of the session. As I said, between the ES and the NQ in the last 45 minutes, I was down $700 something a contract, $790 a contract between the two of them. So we were pretty good at one point. All right. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on this purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out. Okay. Fill it out. That's all you need to do. All right. So on the Russell, well, we're just waiting for pullbacks everywhere. Everything is in the green right now. We're just waiting for pullbacks everywhere. Okay. And so now we have 16 minutes left right now. So we'll put that in the sheet too. This becomes 16. Okay. And now we wait for pullbacks. Pretty simple stuff now, waiting for those pullbacks. And we are still waiting. All 4 of them, we need pullbacks. All right, we are ready over here on the Russell. We just need the up close on the Russell right now. We're almost there on the YM. We didn't actually hit the mid-band on the YM. Didn't actually hit it on the ES either. So now, if either of these close up, wait for a pullback to enter on either one of those. Okay. On either one of those, I would enter on a pullback, but I wouldn't enter right now. Okay. So I put a limit order right there to enter on the pullback. That's the ES. Limit order to enter on the pullback. I'm sorry, that wasn't the ES, that was the YM. This is the ES. The limit order to enter on the pullback. Okay, so now I'm in all 3 of these right now. I'll bring them over so you can watch them all. Do window on top. Window on top. And the Russell just went to +1. Window on top. Okay, the ES just went to break even. The ES is going to +1. The Russell's at +1. The YM hasn't done anything yet. So we got +1 on those 2. And the YM looks like it might stop out. Hasn't stopped out yet, but it's gonna, I think. Yeah, it did. Okay. So go here. And we got a 1 there. A 1 there and a -15 altogether there. So it gets it to -10. It's a 6 and that's a 1. Okay, so we're down a little bit right now after that stop out. Get it back. You'll see. You'll see. We need an up close on the NQ. I think everything's going to go down and flip to YBR is what I think. I don't really want the up close on the NQ, but if it happens, it'll be a valid trade. I think everything's going to go down and flip to YBR and turn down right here, though. If we look out here at the bigger picture stuff, this is what I was looking at this morning. Look where we are right now. We're right down here, and that's what I was saying this morning. Wait for us to get down to this level, this trend line that I drew in there. Okay, we didn't end up with a trade anywhere. So we're at that trend line. We're actually at a point right now where we should bounce. Right, we should bounce from this area. I drew that in this morning, and I said to look for us to get down to that. So we're going to flip to YBR here. We're going to flip to YBR here. We already did there. We didn't do it over here on Russell yet, but the others are flipping it. So they're all going to look for short trades right here, and they're all at a point where they should actually bounce up. All right. We flipped it over here. Now they're all flipped to red. And we'll see if they all bounce right here. That would be something. If they all bounced right here and went right through the midpoint, right through the YBR again and started going long. I don't think that's going to happen, but you see all this, right? You see that the midpoint right here is the midpoint of this leg down. This is the midpoint of this leg down. This right here is the midpoint of this leg down. This is the midpoint of this leg down. None of them gave the trade yet. None of them have given the trade yet. All right. Well, they are all continuing down. So now they've all gone full cycle. They all need to pull back into the overbought. Every one of them needs to get into the overbought. There we go. The Russell just needs a down close. Russell needs a down close. The others haven't hit the midpoint. Sorry. Russell still just needs a down close. Here comes on the Russell. Nothing there. If that drops down and closes down, we're not going to have anything on either one of these. I think the Russell is going to be our only trade here. All the others are just going to reset the midpoint. All right, the Russell still has given us a down close. It might not be a trade after all. We'll see. Oh, it is a trade there right now. That's not a trade. That's not a trade. That's not a trade. And the Russell is running down. Stop at +1. Stop at +5. Stop at +7. And I'm out. Let's put that one on. Russell is this guy. Brings it to 8. Okay. Back in here. Now, this is not going to be a trade here because the midpoint's not flat. This is not going to be a trade here. It didn't go full cycle. This could turn into a trade on the NQ. It could turn into a trade there. Right? That's not a trade here on the Russell. This was the trade right here. This is not a trade here because it's not the overbought. Nothing yet. The Russell could turn into a trade though. Get ready on the Russell for another short. It's got a high. It looks like it's got a high right here of 46.5. Nope, it's not going to be anything. It's too far away now. Cancel. Looks like they're all going to flip the YBR back up. So this is kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. I thought it was going to do it right here, but it looks like right now they're all going to flip the YBR back up and bounce. And if you go out here and look at the big picture stuff, bouncing off of this trend line right here. Okay, well, the S's, and the S is taking everything else, it looks like. We'll see how it all works out. But tomorrow we have big news coming out tomorrow, a whole bunch of news coming out tomorrow at 3 different times, at 8:30, at 9:45, and at 10. We have news coming out tomorrow, and possible SCOTUS about the tariffs. So the markets are kind of setting up for something big here. And I think that this sell-off that we have going on right now is in pricing in tomorrow's news already. That's what I think. I think tomorrow's probably going to be a big up day. We'll see what happens to the rest of today. But if today ends up being a down day, I think tomorrow's going to be a big up day. EQN is bouncing off of yesterday's lows, are they? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that doesn't. Let me go higher and look at that, Michael. Right here, yesterday's lows are right there. This trend line that I drew in here for a long time, that was a resistance trend line when I first drew it, but it's acted as support several times now. I drew that a couple weeks ago, I think. See, there's not going to be any trades in here right now. It's going to flip everything back up. So it's when I said so. So the SO, this guy right here, I said to buy the call right here. It's made a lot of people happy today. All right, we might have a long trade here on the Russell on an up close. We will on an up close right now so far on the Russell. We haven't flipped the YBR on these two yet, but the Russell and the YM have both flipped the YBR. They're both just about setting up a trade. The Russell is setting it up with an up close. YM's pretty close with an up close, but it's not there yet. Now the Russell, I think, is too far away. It might hit it on the up close. It might just hit it on the up close. The YM could be a trade here on the up close too. If it happens right now. YM and the Russell both have to close up right now to have trades. They can't go down anymore. And there they go. Both of them. Here's the Russell. And here's the YM. Plus one tick on the Russell, and we're up. YM's going to stop me out again. The YM stopped me out on the last one, too. Well, Russell gave the one tick. Slide that one over here. We'll see. Who knows? Nope, it's going to get me. That puts us a little more negative here now. There's 1 on the Russell. That puts us at 9 there. Oops. 9 minus 25. That makes us a bit more negative. 9 trades, 2 stop outs. Only 425. We can get that back. Sometimes maybe we can't. We only have 2.5 minutes left. Well, it is what it is. My wheels did not stay on today. Started falling off about 11 o'clock.
In no rush, so if you need time, take it.
Okay, thanks. Look for a down close on the NQ. Now a down close on the ES and the NQ. Either or both of those will be trades. Nothing here on the Russell and the YM. Okay. All right, the NQ, I think that's gotten too far away. The ES could still be a trade here, but the NQ has gotten too far away. Okay, so the ES could still be a trade here on the down close. Nope, that one's too far away. Cancel. They all changed. Now they're all flipping the YBR. They're all going to hit it now. Oof, I was waiting for a sneeze there. Okay. You have to down close followed by an up close on the NQ. Down close followed by an up close on a Russell. 2 down closes and an up close on the YM. And we need to get, so the Russell could have a long trade here. The YM needs a down close followed by an up close. The ES needs to get into the green. The NQ needs a down close followed by the up close. The Russell could still be a trade here on an up close. And the YM could now be a trade too. Close. Okay, so the YM are 0 for 2 on the YM so far in this session. We were 0 for 2 once earlier on the YM too. So the YM just closed up. This. And YM, we got +1 on it. We're not going to get -15 on that one. All right, we didn't get the up close on the Russell though. So we finally got a positive trade on the YM. The NQ could give us a trade here too. And up close on the NQ will be a long trade. Okay, and there it is on the Russell. And Russell actually started moving quickly, so we're going to lock in 10 on the Russell. The NQ too. I'm at +10 on the NQ right now. So we got 10 on the Russell and the NQ. We're going to go to a lot more. A lot more. $95.75 is where I got out. I don't know exactly where I got in though.
Good job.
I think I did. I think that brought us positive. So let's do the Russell. We got 10 more on the Russell. Let's just hit 19 there. And let me see what I did get on that NQ. Hang on, all these windows are on top. Not on top anymore. Slide them over. And on the NQ, we got 8, 5, 6, 7, 28, 30 ticks on the NQ. So that puts us at 35 on the NQ. That should probably put us at a positive number. Right. Let me show you the NQ. It is right here. There's the NQ. So that does put us, it puts us at 15.75. So we've got the goal for the day. This becomes an 11. All right, so this is how we're going to wrap it up for this session. In our 16 minutes of trading, we had 11 trades, 9 wins, 2 stops. 81.82% of our trades are break even or better. We're up $157 per contract, or $1,575 with 10 contracts. We made 35 on the NQ, 19 on the Russell, minus 25 on the YM, and I did okay. Minus 25 on the YM, plus 1 on the ES. I think I'm missing a YM trade in there too somewhere, but I'm in a positive YM trade. I thought I got one more small positive YM trade, but anyway, we're just going to stick with what we got, 1575. So in the 49 sessions that we've kept track of in this session, we're averaging 14.43 minutes per session, and we're averaging $156 per contract per session. So pretty good stuff. Again, I'm going to say, if you don't make it to the morning sessions, you should come to the afternoon sessions, all right? Because there's opportunity in here too. If you've not taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required, and that will bring you to the registration page. Just fill out the page, okay? You do that, we'll get your indicators indicating on your desktop and give you all the information you need to get into the room in the morning with us. All right, interesting that the S didn't flip the YBR. Did it not? I didn't notice. Oh, it did finally over here, but right in there it didn't. So we got some on that one. This is going to be too far away. This, if it goes straight up, that's too far away now. That's too far away now. That's too far away now. And that's too far away. They're all going to flip the YBRs back down, I think. All right. And with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne is ready.
Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 8 minutes and 8 trades to get to, I think it was $275 a contract, wasn't it? $27.50. Yep, $2,750 this morning.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we covered each and every one of the individual markets, the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts. We did everything in its entirety. So if you missed any part at all of today's broadcast, give it a few minutes after I sign off, and you can go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch all of today's broadcast in its entirety. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you become a passport holder, you get 2 hours of live training in an interactive environment every trading day. On top of that, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring, no extra charge. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs. It doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work, and always have. Now, also as a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts round the clock. Those will help you learn how to read the chart. Every evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, you'll get the concierge trade alerts. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And every Thursday night, you're able to attend the members-only workshop at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you've been on the trial and you want to be in the members-only workshop tonight, make sure you email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Oh, and last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. And there's quite a few. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. And again, if you missed any part of today's broadcast, once I sign off, give it a few minutes, go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you can watch today's broadcast in its entirety. Okay, good word for the day. Freedom from the shame of the past. Joshua 5:9. Today I have rolled away the shame of your slavery. God got Israel out of Egypt in one day. But it took 40 years to get the shame of Egypt out of Israel. It happened at a place called Gilgal, 381 miles northeast of Egypt. The Israelites thought like slaves and acted like slaves. After all, it's tough to break the cycle after 400 years of slavery. Technically, the Israelites were set free at the Exodus. But it wasn't until they reached Gilgal that they finally left the past in the past. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the shame of your slavery in Egypt." For some of us, it takes years to bring closure to our feelings of condemnation and get the past out of the present. The good news is God can still roll away the shame of your past. Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Note the word now in that scripture. Full forgiveness is our present tense reality. Right here, right now. If you are in Christ, you're no longer defined by what you've done wrong. You're defined by what Christ has done right on your behalf. You are a new creation. But sometimes it takes time for your new nature to become second nature. Jesus came to put the past in its place, in the past. And you need to leave it there. How do you do that? By seeing yourself as God sees you, righteous. 2 Corinthians 5:21. Instead of seeing yourself as clothed in shame, begin to see yourself as God sees you, clothed in the righteousness of Christ. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.